Hello Neverwinter. I have recently managed to get in here on DPS Warlock, if you're interested. It's the build's slightly scuffed because I haven't fully optimised it yet with the changes that have been made, but getting in here on DPS after tanking has given me the opportunity to refine my understanding of the mechanics. So hopefully I will be able to impart some of that information onto you guys here. So if you watch the tank video, you might have seen that what we have noticed is that standing in the little purpley stuff in the green, technical term I know, standing here actually causes less tentacles to spawn. Obviously it's a little bit awkward for everybody plus the tank and the dragon to stand in that pool. So it is viable to have the tank sort of stand slightly out of the pool as long as the DPS keep on top of the tentacles that pop. This is another one that favours ranged. Kind of, unfortunately. There is some positioning you can do with the dragon that would make it a lot easier on the melee. But as is usual, just kind of much easier for ranged. Because obviously the range can stand back in the sort of green lines that crisscross or that quadrisect the platform. So as you see right here, I go straight into the what should be a place where tentacles don't get popped. There seems to be a bit of a grace period before the tentacles start up. So I run straight into here, pop the artifacts. There's a good chance you might rip aggro off the tank, but the tank just needs to be aware and then pull it back as soon as they can. As you can see, we've got minimal tentacles popping to begin with. And then once they do pop up, you can obviously just swiftly reposition. Make sure, don't just leave the tentacles there. You know, you can kill them. This first bit is not like a DPS race. You do have time to kill these things that pop. Incidentally, I don't know if anybody, well, you may or may not have noticed this, but some of these delusions that spawn are mind flayers, and it is the mind flayers that then spawn the other delusions. So if you kill those mind flayers quickly, it will prevent them from spawning all of the other delusions. So as you can see, the tank is getting swarmed by tentacles, but we are at ranged, so we can handle them whilst doing damage to the dragon, whilst helping the tank out. And you'll notice we are getting minimal tentacles popping, and it's usually when somebody has strayed outside of the pool, a tentacle will just pop up near them. But again, this is enough tentacles for us to cope with. So he's going to lock out at 30%, and then the tricky phase will kick in.
Although it is quite a lovely scale behind, I agree.
Doesn't matter too much if you go REs at this point, but just be aware, if you're the last person in the next phase, you might want to keep your daily, you might want to keep your artifact, just to
I gotcha.
Make sure that you can kill the last demo in time. So yeah, this first phase is relatively chill if you can do it like this.
Okay, same story as before.
Most of the damage is focused on the tank, which can be pretty uncomfortable for the tank, obviously. But at this point, we're basically just avoiding picking up any death stacks, clear up all the adds, the tentacles disappear on their own, and we just try and get our daily back in time for the next phase.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so at this point we have one DPS hang back. I was the one doing it this time, so I could actually show you what it looks like. So that there, that we just saw, that will be the safe spot. So you will always zone in the orientation that we zoned in then.
Thank you.
So at that point, that would be the bottom left is the safe zone.
Get your shadows,
And then as soon as the first person goes through the portal, all they need to do is run to the bottom left, and they will be fine. The order we've got this going in is the healer goes through first, followed by the tank, followed by one of the DPS, followed by another DPS, you know, etc. Here as the last DPS, I'm using my artifact, my daily everything, just to rip it down in time. Luckily, I am a warlock, and this one is particularly suited for warlocks because we have the ability to run very, very fast with our shadow slip. So it's very important at this point not to move out of there too quickly. We've done that a couple of times, and it's quite a tight safe spot, so if you move out too quickly you can get killed. Seems to be a bit of a delay sometimes, it can be quite hard to spot. So we move out, we stay in the purple, just to hopefully minimise those tentacles, and at this phase you've got to be very careful of these demos. They hit really goddamn hard. And again, this bit, it's not like DPS gated, so you have time to kill these ads, and it is worth killing them as they pop. But obviously pay special attention to those demos on the tank. This one's a bit more chaotic than the other one. Obviously, if you're the last DPS, there's a good chance that your artifacts and stuff will be locked out, but everyone else could go for an article. I mean, depends how sweaty you want to be with it, really. You don't need to do that article right off rip. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, this is basically rinse and repeat. There is one thing to note, like I said in the tank video, these demos seem to die a lot quicker if they go in the pool.
Let me know when your arties are going.
I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know if they get a debuff. I don't really know what's going on. Maybe they're just in more of a central location for AoE damage. I'm not sure. You might notice that I'm running Hadar's Grasp here. It's very useful just to hold things. We've got the other Warlock running it as well. And I believe the Wizard is running Entangling Force. So that's given us enough CC just to sort of deal with what's going on. Yeah, I don't... The third phase might be worse, maybe, chaos-wise, but it does seem to be the second phase that kind of makes or breaks the run.
Settle it down, chill it out.
And on this one he locks out at 35%, so be aware of that. And it's basically stay tight, try to avoid poison.
It's fine, don't panic.
If you're ranged, stay at range in one of these little channels. Kill tentacles that are, you know, like that one, a little bit too close, starting to get on my nerves. Left it a little bit too long, really.
And one of them just ate a fucking TV.
And if you can,
Bitch.
I mean, again, Warlocks have a particularly useful role here because they are ranged, who can basically use almost the same kit AoE as they can single target, so particularly useful for this. And obviously we can massively reduce our cooldowns as well. But yeah, I mean, if you can get this positioning down, get people stood in the purpley stuff instead of running around all over the place, you can minimise all these tentacle spawns, and you can just have a bit more of a chill run, basically. This, I mean, all this is assuming that they don't make any tweaks to it, and like, I don't know, they could definitely do with tuning down those demogorgons a bit. Their damage is a little bit excessive, to be honest, and I'm sure you can see why it can be a bit of a struggle for melee. Incidentally, the dragon can be positioned slightly differently to make it a little bit easier for melee. So if that dragon was now 45 degrees from his current position, his side would be exposed into the pool, and then the melee would be able to attack him at the side rather than having to try and attack him from behind. They could still stay in the pool. But it's, you know, it's tricky because there's a lot of stuff going on that other side, and the tank needs to move out of damage because there is a lot of damage going on over there. So, I mean, it's just, the more people do it, the more they'll get better at it. So, I suppose it's just something that'll come with time. Yeah, so he locks out at 35%, and then we go into an identical phase to the one before. Very much a rinse and repeat. It's those teleport phases, which is where it's particularly useful, having things like Hador's Grasp or Entangling Force or Smoke Bomb just to stun them, because obviously we'd lose the tank and the healer. I suppose, no, I mean, I was thinking we could potentially keep the tank around a little bit longer, but we really need that burn on these things. Especially, I mean, I don't think any of the DPS here are particularly optimised with the new way that we're doing things. So once again, each Demogorgon kill spawns a new portal.
Go.
So that's why we need to have one person go through at a time. Because every time one person goes through, the portal disappears. So you need a the last DPS there, it kind of needs to be a toss-up between the person who can kill it fastest, but also the person who can sort of get to the safe spot fastest. So, I mean, like a Barb or a Warlock would be particularly suited for it, I think.
Okay, let the tank pick it up first.
This dragon is a lot less twitchy than a lot of the dragons, but he still does a bit of a wander sometimes.
Kill the demos.
And this is quite a short phase. We only need to go down to 10%. And when you get down to sort of 20%, you're going to want to start saving your arties, because there is a very quite a tight time gate on the next phase.
That's fine. Demos, kill the demos. Go on.
As you'll see during this phase, I think all of our death stacks managed to clear in this phase, which is why I thought, you know, this one might be just slightly easier than the middle one. But I suppose, you know, it'll differ for everyone, won't it? It's like sometimes you get lucky on where the demos pop and you can just stun them quickly. Sometimes you get lucky on where the tentacles pop and you can just sort of damage the dragon tentacles at the same time and just keep it going nicely. Incidentally, these demos will they do seem to just disappear on their own after a certain amount of time. So I don't think it's really going to be viable to stun lock them for that entire amount of time. I mean, you might as well just kill them at that point, right? Our Pally is running Banishment as well, actually, which is very useful just for holding them. We're not actually running any CC companions here. We've stacked up the CA companions. We've got a Scorpion on. We've got a Dritz. The Scorpion, I initially thought it wouldn't be particularly useful, but given the amount of moving around and repositioning we have to do, it's worthwhile having it on. This is such a chaotic thing, man. You see, and I'm wearing a load of like stamina gear. Well, gear that gives you stats based on your stamina. So I'm definitely losing like almost all of that because I don't think my stamina's been above 75 for most of this fight. I'm gonna have to look at that. Sort the build out. So yeah, I mean, you kind of just got to balance out clearing the mobs with doing damage to the boss at this point. It's
Tentacles. Might probably gonna get one more set.
I
Of
mean,
demos.
most classes have like a semi single target AOE thing. Obviously, the Hellfire Ring on the Warlock covers a certain amount of space, and like you can see there, we can pick up a demo with tentacles and other bits, and still hit the dragon. And the rogue smoke bomb is absolutely brilliant, even though obviously they're at a slight disadvantage being melee. Okay, at this point, we wait for the red to clear. We tell the supports to go arties, and then we just burn this down as fast as we can. These tentacles still slap at this phase. I mean, you can still definitely get killed at this phase. And you need to be very careful with those red lines going across, because if you die, you can very well lose the buff that allows you to damage the brain.
Okay, so give me.
And there are limited crystals, so you're going to want your DPS to double up here, or everybody to double up here. And now our DPS use their artifacts, and we just melt it down as quick as possible.
Easy.
And that's that. That is how to complete it in a sort of timely and safe manner, hopefully. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you like a lot of videos, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and if I can think of anything else useful, I will do another video on that and show you. Thank you again. Bye bye.
Crystal symbol and some plate mail, mythic armor. Alright. It was. Oh, do you think that's the thing?